Hey guys. Welcome to Secrets Behind the Stars. All the details are in our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share our video before continuing. Thank you so much. Last night, the set of a highly anticipated new season drama became the stage for a moment that nobody on the crew will forget anytime soon. In the space of a few minutes, a routine shooting day turned into a tense pause when a disagreement between Yaman and Demet Özdemir flared up and forced filming to stop. What began as a simple question about how to shape a pivotal scene suddenly carried the weight of two careers built on chemistry, precision, and huge expectations from a devoted audience. Witnesses say it happened near the end of a long day, when everyone was pushing to capture the final sequence before calling it a wrap. The scene in question required layered emotions, soft vulnerability edged with a hint of a private storm. That line is exactly where Can and Demet usually shine, but this time their instincts clashed. The director stepped in to guide them toward a compromise, yet the conversation slid from calm notes to raised voices. The trigger, according to one person on set, was a sharp difference in approach. Can was focused on pacing the heartbeat of the moment, while Demet was determined to guard the character's consistency and inner logic. A crew member close to the camera team recalls hearing Can say, with a tight restraint that carried across the room, "The rhythm of this scene is shifting entirely," to which Demet, firm but controlled, replied, "If I play it that way, the character stops making sense." No insults, no theatrics, just two strong professionals who care deeply about how truth lands on screen. But in an environment that runs on timing, even a thoughtful clash can disrupt everything. The assistant director called an immediate hold. The lights dimmed. A hush fell over the space as the production made the rare call to step back for a full hour. Both stars retreated to their trailers, escorted by their respective aides, leaving the corridors in a suspended quiet. People lowered their voices. The usual bustling chatter, from lighting cues to makeup touch-ups, turned into careful whispers as colleagues exchanged looks that asked the same silent question. How big is this going to get? The production team, knowing that anticipation can grow into rumor as fast as a headline, moved swiftly. They spoke to Can and Demet separately, encouraging a reset while also mapping a revised plan for the scene. The director took a deliberate walk away from the set, not out of frustration, but to examine angles, lines, and blocking with fresh eyes. When the clock ticked past the hour, the mood had cooled but not quite cleared. Demet stepped out first, calm and focused, her makeup refreshed but her gaze saying she would not compromise the character's emotional truth. A few minutes later, Can emerged, composed, polite, ready to work. Faces around the set eased. They approached their marks with impeccable professionalism and delivered what the script demanded, even if the air around their performance still held a hint of the earlier storm. They didn't offer hugs or laughter, they didn't need to. Their craft spoke loudly enough. The production later described the disturbance as a natural strain of a grueling schedule, nothing more. Many on the team repeated a similar line, "When people care, they argue." And when two people share a history of electric on-screen chemistry, every decision about tone, silence, or breath feels magnified. It didn't take long for word to spill beyond the soundstage, and by the time everyone packed up, the chatter had already hit social feeds. As soon as whispers escaped into the online world, the fanbase split into familiar camps. One side defended the pair, saying any duo under such pressure could hit a rough moment. Others wondered if an old undercurrent had resurfaced, an unspoken rivalry, a tug-of-war between instincts that once aligned seamlessly. Speculation swirled, but sources close to the production insisted this was a work matter, not a personal battle. The revised plan, they said, focused primarily on practical adjustments. Camera angles, beat changes, the timing of a glance. The effects of the tension weren't confined to the soundstage. People in the hallways paused in doorways they usually strode through, trading brief reactions in murmurs. Makeup artists exchanged concerned looks as they reorganized their stations. The lighting department tweaked setups, buying time while management regrouped. One technician described the mood as a soft lockdown, a collective effort to let the heat dissipate without feeding it. Meanwhile, the director drafted a new shooting scheme to stabilize the rest of the night and lighten the load for the following day. Those close to Can and Demet quietly noted that their disagreements tend to arise over exactly this kind of fine-tuned emotional terrain. They aim for honest beats, they reject shortcuts. Most days, it's the friction that makes the spark. This time, though, the spark scorched a little hotter than anyone expected. Even so, when they returned to set and faced the lens together, they found the thread, honored the script, and delivered. One crew member described the take as controlled fire, the kind you cultivate deliberately in a scene to burn cleanly across the screen. By wrap, the tide had shifted. Smiles appeared, small but visible. Say your goodnights. See you at call time. Both stars headed toward their cars, and a brief exchange at the gates didn't escape attention, a polite greeting, a nod. Not melodrama, just two professionals trying to leave the day behind them. Yet sensational comments online about cold winds whipped up outrage. Some fans turned it into a joke, comparing the tension to the conflict between the characters in the script. Others doubled down on faith in Can's steadiness and Demet's meticulous artistry, insisting the storm would pass. There was no official statement from the production company, but insiders said preparations for the next day ran right on schedule. The set would be ready at dawn. The call sheets went out. Nothing was cancelled. The initial clash, while loud for an hour, was contained before it became a lasting shadow. And still, whispers loved to linger. Sources who heard snatches of conversation hinted at a deeper creative disagreement than most had imagined. Another source emphasized that it was simply workplace tension, that neither side carried personal grievances. The truth may sit between those versions, where work and feeling often meet. Before everyone went home, the director gathered the team for a brief evaluation meeting. The message: tomorrow would be a reset. The dramatic shape of the contested scene would be revisited, both leads would be given space to offer input and claim ownership of the beats that matter to them. People in the room noticed Demet exhale in relief at that, as if simply being heard could unspool the knot. Can stayed back afterward, leaning on a monitor cart, chatting amiably with the crew about marks, lenses, and the sound of a pause that needs to land exactly right. The night ended without fireworks. The morning promised a second chance. And that's what drew everyone back before sunrise with a mix of curiosity and quiet concern. When the set gates rolled open, a look of expectancy ran across faces. Would the argument cast a shadow, or would it sharpen the day's work? The crew arrived a little earlier than usual, resetting cables, testing lights, checking the stillness of the room where everything had briefly tilted the night before. Demet was first to arrive. Determined, graceful, and unmistakably focused, she walked straight into the makeup booth, exchanging brief words with her stylist. Those who know her well say she made it clear the night before, no escalation. She wanted to keep her energy where it matters, on the work, on intention, on the sound a line makes when it lands exactly where a character would put it. Shortly afterward, Can stepped onto the set. He acknowledged the team with a nod and went straight to the director, ready to talk through the architecture of the morning. In those first minutes, it felt like stepping onto thin ice. Solid, but untested since the freeze. A few glances flew between departments. Some hands hovered over headsets. The air held a tentative hush. Then something small happened that shifted everything. Maybe it was Can's low laugh at a note the director made about a prop, or Demet's gentle grin when she saw a continuity photo of the previous take. Whatever set it loose, it was enough. Shoulders lowered. The room seemed to exhale. And in that breath, the day found its rhythm again. They ran the scene from the top, this time with minor adjustments they had both helped design. The beats were cleaner, the silences more intentional. Neither side surrendered their instincts, instead, they let them coexist. The camera captured the result, two performers who know each other's timing so well that even conflict can become choreography. Off camera, they spoke in measured tones, sharing notes like a pair of musicians aligning on tempo. Outside, of course, the rumors rolled on. There were threads dissecting the episode in forensic detail, claiming to know who said what first, who walked away faster, who looked back. Some connected the tension to the history everyone loves to speculate about when it comes to Can and Demet, using old headlines as fuel for new flames. Others argued that creative disagreements are the price of excellence. By midday, the argument had already morphed in the public imagination into a storm it never truly was. On set, however, the story was simpler. The scene that sparked the dispute ended up stronger, stripped of excess and warmed by precision. During lunch, Can joked with a grip about a stubborn doorway that squeaked in every take. Demet shared a quiet moment with the script supervisor, comparing line readings and mapping how the character arcs would curve into the next episode. Work resumed. Takes flowed. The director, for all the stress of the previous night, wore a look that can only be described as relief. By the end of the day, nobody doubted that the worst had passed. The final shot cleared, the slate clapped, and the crew broke into that low murmur that always fills the space once the red light dies. Can and Demet said their goodbyes with easy civility, the kind that doesn't chase headlines but steadies a set. The cars rolled out. The gates closed. And still, the outside world leaned forward, hungry for the next hint of friction or fire. Here's what we know from those who stood closest to the storm. The dispute was about tone, about a heartbeat inside a scene that could be too fast or too slow. Can fought for a rhythm that would hold the audience through a crucial turn. Demet guarded the logic of her character's choices. Neither was wrong. They were both right from different angles. And both were willing, after a cooling off, to bend just enough to meet in the middle. That middle is where the work lives. It says something, doesn't it, that after the break they could return and deliver precisely what the story needed? It says even more that the production didn't crumble under the weight of a single evening's heat. Instead, they recalibrated. The director listened. The lead spoke. The team adapted. And despite the noise beyond the gates, inside, art did what it usually does, it found a way. So yes, fans will keep talking. The "cold winds" line will keep circulating, and some corners of the internet will turn it into a meme. Others will insist that the pair's professionalism is bigger than a headline, and they'll probably be right. Meanwhile, the crew is already prepping for tomorrow's scenes, with fresh marks taped on the floor and a quiet confidence that this chapter won't define the season. They've seen storms like this before, brief, intense, and ultimately clarifying. When the set doors opened this morning, the big question was how the reunion between Yaman and Demet Özdemir would play out after a night that tested their equilibrium. The answer, as it unfolded minute by minute, was reassuring. With discipline, grace, and just enough softness to allow the edges to smooth. Demet led by arriving early, centering herself in the work. Can followed by facing the conversation head-on with the director. The first looks were cautious. The next looks were lighter. A few minutes later, the room felt like itself again. This is how shows survive busy seasons and impossible schedules, by trusting that the people at the center can weather a moment and come back stronger. The story everyone will see on screen in the weeks ahead will carry none of the clatter of a halted set, only the polished pulse of two artists who know how to turn friction into fuel. And if you look closely at that pivotal scene, you might sense it, the precise balance between pace and truth, the rhythm Can wanted and the consistency Demet demanded, finally threaded together into a single, seamless breath. This brings us to the end of our video. If you enjoyed our video, please don't forget to subscribe to Secrets Behind the Stars and share it. Goodbye.